I used to believe that hard work speaks for itself, that if you show up early, stay late, and deliver quality, someone will eventually notice. I was wrong. Hard work doesn't speak. It whispers. And in a corporate office full of people shouting, nobody hears a whisper. My name is Riya. I'm 27 years old. I work as a marketing strategist at a mid-sized tech company in Gurgaon. I've been there for 3 years. 3 years of coming in at 8:30, leaving at 7, eating lunch at my desk while answering emails. I don't do it for the praise. I do it because I care about the work. Because when I build a campaign, I want it to be good. I want it to work. I want to look at the numbers 3 months later and see that something I created actually moved the needle. That's rare in marketing. Most campaigns fail. Most ideas die in committee. Most presentations get filed away and forgotten. But this one was different. 6 months ago, our company decided to pitch for a major client, a fintech startup looking to rebrand. The contract was worth 2 crores annually, the kind of account that could make someone's career. My manager, Kavita, put me in charge of the strategy. She said I had fresh ideas and good instincts. I was flattered. I worked harder than I'd ever worked before. For 3 weeks, I lived inside that presentation. I researched the fintech market until I could recite competitor ad spend from memory. I built financial models. I designed mock campaigns. I created a 40-slide deck that told a story, not just about the client, but about why their customers needed them. I sent it to Kavita on a Friday evening. She replied with a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. On Monday, she called me into her office. Riya, she said, great work on the strategy. I made some refinements. I'll be presenting it to the leadership team on Wednesday. Refinements? I asked. Just some executive-level adjustments. Don't worry, your name will be mentioned. She smiled. It was the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. The kind that says, this is mine now. Be grateful I let you watch. I should have said something. I should have asked to see the refinements. I should have stood up for myself. But I didn't. I smiled back. I said thank you. I went back to my desk and told myself that this was how it worked. That senior people took credit. That someday, when I was senior, I'd do things differently. I was naive. And naivety in a corporate office is just another word for permission. The presentation was on Wednesday. I wasn't invited. I sat at my desk, refreshing my email every 30 seconds, waiting for an update. At 2 o'clock, the company-wide Slack channel lit up. Congratulations to Kavita Sharma and the marketing team for securing the fintech account. I stared at the message. I read it 5 times. Then I read it again. Kavita Sharma. Not Riya Mehta. Not the marketing team. Just Kavita Sharma. I walked to the break room to get water. On the way, I passed the conference room. The glass walls were frosted, but I could see silhouettes. I could see Kavita standing at the head of the table, gesturing confidently, accepting handshakes. I could see my slides on the screen behind her. I recognized the layout, the color scheme, the transition animations I'd spent an hour perfecting. They were my slides, my words, my strategy, being presented by someone who hadn't written a single sentence of them. I went back to my desk. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I opened my laptop and I did something I'd never done before. I checked the file history. I use Google Slides for everything. It's collaborative, it's cloud-based, and most importantly, it keeps a version history. Every edit, every change, every person who opened the file, and when. I clicked on version history. I scrolled back. There it was. Kavita had opened the file on Saturday morning at 10:47 a.m. She'd spent 4 hours in it. She'd changed the title slide, replacing my name with hers. She'd added 2 slides at the end, generic thank you slides with her contact information. She changed the footer on every single slide from prepared by Riya to prepared by Kavita Sharma. And then, at 2:53 p.m., she downloaded the file as a PowerPoint. The version she presented. The version with her name on it. I took screenshots. I saved the version history as a PDF. I documented every timestamp, every change, every piece of evidence that proved what she'd done. Then I checked my email. There was a message from HR, performance review, Riya. I opened it. Kavita had rated me as meets expectations with a note that said, Riya is a solid contributor but lacks strategic vision. Her work on the fintech pitch required significant executive oversight. Executive oversight. That's what she called stealing my work. I closed the email. I closed my laptop. I sat in my chair and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt angry, not the hot, explosive anger that makes you shout, the cold, focused anger that makes you plan. I didn't confront Kavita, not yet. I knew that if I went to her directly, she'd deny it. She'd say it was a collaborative effort. She'd say she guided the strategy. She'd twist the narrative until I was the one who looked petty and ungrateful. So I went around her. I started with the client. The fintech startup's marketing director was a woman named Neha Gupta. I found her on LinkedIn during my research. She'd posted about the partnership announcement, tagging Kavita and congratulating her on an incredible strategic vision. I sent Neha a connection request. She accepted within an hour. I didn't message her immediately. I waited 2 days. Then I sent a simple note. Hi Neha, congratulations on the partnership. I'm Riya. I built the financial modeling and competitive analysis that formed the foundation of the strategy Kavita presented. I'd love to connect and discuss how we can optimize the campaign execution. Short, professional, no accusations, just facts. She replied in 20 minutes. Riya, thanks for reaching out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on execution. Can we set up a call? We spoke for 45 minutes. I walked her through the original strategy, the one Kavita had presented. I explained the thinking behind each slide. I answered questions that Kavita clearly couldn't have answered because she hadn't written the material. By the end of the call, Neha knew. She didn't say it outright, but she knew. Riya, she said, I have to ask, why wasn't your name on the presentation? I paused. I'll let the silence do the work. That's a question for Kavita, I said, but I'm glad the strategy resonated with you. It was important to me that it did. Next, I went to IT. Our company had a policy about cloud storage. All work files had to be stored on company-approved platforms with audit trails. Google Slides qualified. But Kavita had downloaded the file as a PowerPoint, which meant she'd created an offline copy with no version history. I asked IT for a report on file access logs. I said it was for a compliance review. They sent it to me within a day. The logs confirmed everything. Kavita had accessed the file on Saturday. She'd spent 4 hours editing. She downloaded it. She'd never added me as a collaborator on the downloaded version. I saved the logs. I saved the emails. I built a folder on my personal drive called Documentation, and I organized everything by date, by source, by relevance. Then I waited. I waited for 2 weeks. I did my job. I smiled at Kavita in meetings. I answered her emails promptly. I played the role of the loyal, grateful employee. And all the while I watched her get invited to leadership lunches. I watched her name appear in company newsletters. I watched her update her LinkedIn with lead acquisition of major fintech account, 2 crore Indian rupees ARR. I let her build the pedestal, because the higher you build it, the farther you fall. The quarterly all-hands meeting was scheduled for a Thursday morning. The entire company would be there, 200 people in the main auditorium, plus remote employees on a live stream. Kavita was on the agenda. She was giving a success story presentation about the fintech win. 15 minutes of glory. Her moment in the spotlight. I arrived early. I sat in the third row, directly in her line of sight. I smiled when she walked in. She smiled back, that same smile from 3 months ago, the one that didn't reach her eyes. The meeting started. The CEO spoke about quarterly results. The CFO presented numbers. Then the moderator announced. And now, Kavita Sharma will share how her team landed the fintech account. Kavita walked to the stage. She looked confident. She looked successful. She looked like someone who'd gotten away with it. She opened her laptop. She connected to the projector. The title slide appeared on the screen behind her. Fintech Rebrand Strategy, presented by Kavita Sharma. She started talking. She walked through the slides. She explained the market analysis, the competitive positioning, the campaign mock-ups. She spoke with authority, with passion, with the confidence of someone who truly believed she'd created this work. I waited. I waited until she reached slide 34, the financial projections. The slide I'd spent 3 days building. The slide with the complex model that showed exactly how the campaign would drive revenue. She clicked to the next slide. Slide 35. The thank you slide. Her contact information. Her photo. I raised my hand. The moderator noticed me. Yes? Question from the audience. I have a question for Kavita, I said. My voice was steady, calm. The voice of someone who had nothing to lose and everything to prove. Kavita looked at me. Her smile faltered, just for a second, but I saw it. Of course, Riya, she said. What's your question? I stood up. I walked to the aisle. I turned to face the audience, 200 people, plus the CEO, plus the live stream camera. My question is about slide 34, I said. The financial projections. Kavita, could you explain the methodology behind the customer acquisition cost calculation? Specifically, the blended CAC formula on line 14. Silence. Kavita looked at the slide. She looked at me. She looked back at the slide. The methodology, she repeated. Yes, well, the CAC is based on industry benchmarks, and industry benchmarks. I interrupted. Because the model I built uses a weighted average of organic and paid acquisition channels, with a churn-adjusted LTV multiplier. I don't see any industry benchmarks in the formula. Could you walk us through the specific variables? Her face changed. The confidence drained out of it like water from a cracked glass. Riya, she said, her voice tight, this isn't the time. You're right, I said. This isn't the time for me to explain my work. Because that's what this is, isn't it? My work. I turned to the audience. I pulled out my phone. 3 months ago, I said, Kavita Sharma presented this exact deck to the leadership team and claimed full credit. What she didn't mention is that every slide, every word, every chart, every financial model was created by me. Riya Mehta, the person she rated as meets expectations because I lack strategic vision. I connected my phone to the projector. The screen changed. My Google Slides version history appeared. The timestamps, the edits, the name changes. This is the original file, I said. Created by me, last edited by me, downloaded by Kavita Sharma on Saturday, March 15th at 2:53 p.m., 4 hours after she replaced my name with hers on every slide. I clicked through the version history. The audience watched in silence as Kavita's edits appeared one by one. The title change, the footer changes, the download. I also have the IT access logs, I said. In an email from the client, Neha Gupta at the fintech company, confirming that she spoke directly with me about the strategy execution because Kavita couldn't answer basic questions about work she claimed to have created. I looked at Kavita. She was frozen on stage, her face pale, her hands gripping the podium. You asked for strategic vision, I said. Here it is. I saw this coming 3 months ago, and I documented everything. I turned to the CEO. I'm not asking for a promotion. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for something simple. Credit where credit is due, and accountability where accountability is due. I sat down. The room was silent for 10 seconds. Then the CEO stood up. Kavita, he said, his voice flat. My office. Now. She walked off stage. She didn't look at me. She didn't look at anyone. The moderator tried to continue the meeting, but the energy in the room had shifted. People were whispering. Phones were out. Someone was recording. I sat in my chair and I felt nothing. Not victory. Not satisfaction. Just the quiet certainty that I'd done what needed to be done. Kavita was placed on administrative leave that afternoon. An internal investigation confirmed everything I'd documented. 2 weeks later, she resigned, or was asked to resign, depending on who you asked. The fintech client, Neha, called me personally. She said she was deeply disappointed in how the company had handled the situation, but that she wanted to continue working with me directly. The account stayed. My name was added to the partnership announcement. I didn't get Kavita's job. I got something better. I got a new role, senior marketing strategist, created specifically for me. A 40% raise. A seat at the leadership table. And a company policy change requiring all presentation decks to include contributor credits on the title slide. They called it the Meta Protocol. I try not to laugh. I saw Kavita once after, at a coffee shop in CyberHub. She was with someone I didn't recognize, talking loudly about toxic workplaces and jealous subordinates. She saw me. Our eyes met. She looked away first. I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel sorry for her either. I just felt grateful that she'd taught me something I should have learned years ago. Hard work doesn't speak for itself, but documentation does. If you create something, timestamp it. If you build something, version control it. If you own something, prove it before someone else decides they own it too. The corporate world isn't a meritocracy. It's a documentation contest, and the person with the best records wins. I keep my records now. Every email, every edit, every timestamp. Not because I'm paranoid, because I'm prepared. And because I learned the hard way that in a room full of people shouting, the whisper with proof is the loudest voice of all. What would you have done? If your boss stole your work and got promoted for it, would you have confronted them publicly? Or would you have found a quieter way to set the record straight? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever watched someone else take credit for your hard work, hit that subscribe button. New stories every single day. You don't want to miss what happens next. This is Karma Chronicles. Every lie has an expiration date.